Condell. Okay, here's a response to your video, Apologist for Evil. Now, first, let's avoid the whole issue, and let's look at, I'm looking at 4 videos right now. One is a blog from Buddha Jim. He's a pretty famous blogger, and he's an anarchist. He's well known. And the other one's another well-known anarchist, well, less philosophical, Johnny Rotten and the Sex Pistols. You'll hear Johnny Rotten singing. You'll hear him shortly. Now, there's Bill O'Reilly famously flipping out, and then there's you. Now, first, let's start with by far the most intelligent of these videos of my friend. Well, not my friend, but
free market anarchists. What I'd like to do in this video,
but when put next to Johnny Rotten, you really can't hear him. Now, let's see another. Now, Johnny Rotten may be loud, but what about Billo? Let's see.
Yeah, there it is. We are going to do Sting, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, I can't read it. There's no words
Fuck you,
on
Bill.
it. There's no words there to play us out. To play us out.
You can barely hear him. Once again, Johnny Rotten, well, in this case, Johnny Rotten saved me. Saved me from the loudness of Bill. But let's see what happens when you are speaking. Let's just keep Johnny Rotten playing.
Indeed, after my last video where I suggested that we should ban the misogynistic and fascist device known as the burqa, I received quite a lot of very angry emails from members of the multicultural appeasement lobby, the kind of people who put their own mothers and daughters in burqas to avoid being called intolerant, and who occupy such high moral ground and concentrate on...
Have you seen that? Can you... Now let's try this one more time.
That you can hardly see them up there through the clouds of self-righteousness. I'm talking about members of the enlightened liberal intelligentsia that has consistently shown its boring old farce and set light to them.
Okay, there's some weird ass shit that just turned up on that. Let's...
To be anything but enlightened or liberal or intelligent, maybe because it's motivated more by...
Back to Booty Jump? Can't hear you, Booty Jump. Sorry. What about you, Bill?
I don't know what that means to play us out. What's that mean?
Once again, you.
A deep irrational hatred of America than by any real notion of justice or respect, and whose politically correct double standards and cringeworthy cowardice in the face of aggressive Islamism has led many liberal-minded people to actively despise the word liberal.
But this was the UK. But apparently, it's the biggest loudmouth, your loudest thing on YouTube. By far. There's nothing that compares closely to your volume. Now, let's avoid the extremely sheer volume, which is really the biggest problem I have with what you're saying. The sheer volume, it represents a breakdown in discourse as a civilized art form, as a civilized way of discussion. You're just loud-mouthing and getting people who like loud things. But if we go down to the actual breakdown of what all your arguments are based on one theme, that we're just apologists for intolerant religions, for the one intolerant religion of Islam, and which in many ways is somewhat ridiculous. There's a lot of places you still have to pray in schools. I know in Greece you still have to pray in school. In the United States it used to be you still have to pray. You have to pray in schools in a lot of places, and we still have in many courthouses the Ten Commandments are above the courthouses, and there's a lot of places where the Christian morality is imposing in a legal way. If you ever go to Utah, and regardless, the subject you're talking about, yeah, Islam. A lot of people, they don't want to say bad things about Islam, but a lot of people say bad things about Islam, and they don't really seem to worry about it. And there ain't nobody in getting reprimanded publicly. No one's saying, "Oh, you're a racist" if you say something about Islamophobe. Who's ever lost a job because they were labeled an Islamophobe? I think you use that term more than anyone else. At the same time, let's say if I were to, I live in New York, if I were to walk around with a bold political statement, I wore a shirt that looked like the Israeli flag. I could have it on a tie, no one would really bother me. Let's say I had the same flag, well, not the same flag, the same gesture, only it was a Palestinian flag. There's a good chance I could lose my job for that. I could be labeled by saying I support Israel. People would say, "Oh, you're an anti-Semite." If I say I support Palestine, people would say you're an anti-Semite. I mean, Palestinians are Semites. It would be, I think people say, "Oh, you don't like to be associated with the BNP," but you seem very concentrated on Islam, and you seem very concentrated on getting them out of England. You don't seem to. You said how you were once liberal. You don't seem to mention leftism in the Arab world. You don't even seem to look at it as a possibility. Whereas it seems like the desire of all leftists I've ever met in my life has been to achieve solidarity across international lines. That it's not a leftist movement has essentially never is for that one country. The leftist movement always has international desires and desire to work with leftist movements in other countries. And you seem to show no desire to work with Arabic people, not Muslim people, Arabic people. You don't seem to. You describe their culture as backward. You describe their whole culture. Yeah, meanwhile, it's much older than English culture. It's contributed a lot more to society than English culture. And anyway, worst case, you're not making a point. You're not. You see, I'm disagreeing with you, and I haven't prepared my anything. I'm just winging it. You've obviously written a speech, but you can't just say it. You see, I'm speaking like a civilized human being. I have a cup of coffee, or maybe it could be tea, or it doesn't matter. I'm speaking, and if you watch other videos of me or other videos of any other video blogger, they speak. You just scream. It's ridiculous. Like, it's not like it's just a destruction of discourse. And anyway, that's about it. And to lead us out, oh fuck you, where the fuck are you, so vicious?